In this video, I'm going to help you come up with a scenario that could refer to this graph, but as a real world example. So as you're looking at the first picture, it says you have 5 shaded in and greater than. So the inequality that this would represent is x is greater than or equal to 5. And what I want to do is use the words at least, at most, no more than, less than, maximum, any word phrase that could represent something greater than or equal to 5. So I'm going to write some scenario here. I'm just going to come up with one at random. And I'm going to say there's a girl named Sarah, and she's going to be buying at least 5 items at the store. So if she's buying at least 5 items, she's going to purchase 5 or more. Now for letter B, here's my inequality that would represent this picture. X is less than or equal to the number 14. So what scenario could you imagine that could represent something needing to be less than or equal to 14? I could say you can score up to 14 points on the quiz. If there's 14 points on the quiz, you can't score more than that, and so you can score up to that 14 points. In the last 2 graphs, notice how our inequalities will change just slightly. These ones we had equal to, but now these we have strictly greater than. So x is greater than 1. And I would make some phrase up here and say, maybe this person, Tom, needs more than 1 glass of water a day. So he needs to have more than 1. For my last inequality, from the graph says x is less than negative 5. And what scenario could you imagine where things would be negative? And I think for me, the easiest example to think of would be temperatures. And in the wintertime, temperatures can go negative. And so for this scenario, I'm going to say in Canada, the temperature will stay below negative 5 degrees, and I'll say maybe in January. So expect it to be pretty cold. Now there are 4 more examples of how to have a phrase, and what we're going to do is graph the inequality that matches with this phrase. So for the first example, it says shade all real numbers on this graph that are less than or equal to 5. X is less than or equal to 5. So I'm going to put a couple numbers on my number line. I'm going to shade in the 5, and I'm going to shade to the left. For numbers greater than negative 3, x is greater than negative 3. I'm going to put a couple numbers here on my number line. If I want greater than negative 3, I'm going to circle that and shade to the right. And then at least negative 3. X is at least. We want to have more than that. So at least means that would be the lowest. So we want to shade this in completely and shade to the right. And then for letter D, all real numbers that are a max, the highest it could be is 0. So x is less than or equal to 0. If 0 is the max, then if this is the max, we want something less than that, because that's the highest it can go. So less than or equal to 0.